out how much Singapore is generating the revenue, how much India is generating the revenue, how much Australia is generating the revenue for my company. Let's say I am the sales distribution manager of Samsung. I would like to find out how much revenue is generated from all these regions, how much revenues I'm generating from the Middle East, how much revenues I'm generating from the Singapore, how much revenue that I'm generating from the Thailand and Malaysia, all those things. As a sales distribution manager, I would like to find out which country is doing better, and how much revenue I'm generating. So this can be answered by your data warehouse. When you go with it, this can be answered by your data warehouse. And the other thing is that, let's say the Samsung has released so many products. You have a Samsung Galaxy Grand S2, S3, S4, all these, so many products are available. So out of all the products, which product is not doing better? So it's not that when you release all the products will be liked by the customers and everybody will start purchasing it, which is actually slow moving product, So how it is going to help you? If it is a slow moving product, you can easily analyze what are the drawbacks of that products, why the customers are not liking that product. So then you can replace that product, and then do it. So, and the next thing is, you're actually selling your phones through the various sales agents. I mean, like, I'm not sure about the Singapore who are actually the sales agents who are doing better. Let's say you have a different sales agents where you're selling the cell phones through. I'm selling the cell phones through the Walmart, I'm selling the cell phones through the Target, I'm selling the cell phones through the Mises, or so many retail clients. I'm actually selling the cell phones through every retail client. So I would like to understand which sales agent is promoting my product better. In the sense whether the Mises is promoting my product better or Walmart is promoting my product better, so that I can give them the encouraging offers. So that they'll promote my product even more better. So this analysis also this question also will be answered by your data warehouse. So the next thing is about the defaulters profile. A defaulters profile is nothing but like whenever you're using a postpaid mobiles and you're not paying the bills. Right? So the defaulters profile will help you to understand who are the customers are not paying the bills on time. Who are the defaulters profile? You can get the customers who are not paying the bills. You can follow up with them to recover the bills. All those things can be identified using your data warehouse. Let's say you have so many customers to your business. Let's say you have so many credit card users who are to the business, and when you see the customers, whoever has a credit cards may not be using it very extensively. Some will use very much. Everywhere they go, they'll swipe the credit card and they'll actually use the credit card for all the transactions, whatever they do. So when you have 100 customers, out of 100 customers, I would like to identify who is my profitable customer. So these other customers are holding the credit card, but they're not using it. So if they're not using it, it's a loss to me, or there is no profit to me. So this also will help you, out of the 100 customer, who are the customers, profitable customers to my business, so that I can give them the encouraging offers. So let's say when you are using a credit card, often you receive the call from the customer care saying like, your usage has been very good to us and we are increasing your credit limit. All these kind of promotional offers they'll provide. Or else if you use it in the airlines, we'll give you 10% of offer on every ticket that you do, or all these kind of promotional offers will be given to the customers, whoever is a profitable customer. If somebody who is not doing anything, why should I provide the offers to them? So you're encouraging the customers to do the business more by offering the different products, by offering the different services. And also, so the most of the times you'll be hearing about the news statistics or in the market saying like TCS or other companies say that we have actually improved on a year to year on a 18%, 20%, and they're going to analyze their data based upon the historical data available. So how did their revenue improve over the 10%, 20%? All those things can be found out by using this thing. And also your data warehouse plays a major role in planning the future. So you can plan your budget accordingly. You can plan your budget accordingly, and then you can based upon the historical data, it will provide you the information to plan your budget accordingly, in the sense I have to spend $100 million for a IT, I have to spend $100 million for a sales, I have to spend $50 million for a marketing. So all these things can be found out, can be analyzed, or can be found by using your data warehouse. These kind of questions, and also you can also even do the analysis in the financial sector about how the interest rates is going to fluctuate, what is the liquidity risk, what is the currency risk, whether the rupee value will go down or go up. All these kind of analysis also can be carried out by using the different analysis. So these are all the analysis techniques. So to understand each and every question, or to answer each and every question, you're going to generate the report using it. You're going to generate the reports using the BI tools. All your BI tools will generate the reports to answer all these questions. So when your business user comes and click on the report, it will show the sales distribution region wise. It will show the number of products sold by the, Samsung Galaxy Grand, how much we have sold. Samsung Galaxy S2, how much we have sold. All these things, these are all the questions will be answered by through the your BI tools, is nothing but in the form of reports, So these are all the different things which will be answered by your data warehouse. And we have also understand why we are not using the OLTP system and why we are actually going for a DSS. It's nothing but you have a normalized structure and you don't have the historical data present in the OLTP system, right? So you don't have a historical data, and there is a time lag in accessing the data, all those things. And moreover, you have one more thing. So if you are actually performing or generating the reports using your OLTP systems, it will impact the performance of your OLTP systems. In the sense, let's say if a customer is doing a transaction on it, and at the same time you are generating the reports, there will be a load on your database, or there will be a load on your application where your customer will experience the performance disadvantage. So if to do a transaction, if it is taking 10 seconds, if you are generating the reports on the same system, it will take 20 seconds or 30 seconds, which will be a disadvantage for the customers. He has to wait for a long time to do the transaction. So it will also help you if you are building a separate system. You need not to worry about how your OLTP transactions are being generated or being used. That's why we are going for a separate system called as a data warehouse or a DSS, which is nothing but the decision support system. So these are all the advantages. So you can easily access the data, which will be highly available, and the quality of data will be available, and you'll always focus on the information processing. And it is a kind of data warehouse is a kind of knowledge discovery for your business. So this concludes the process about the data warehouse, why we are using the data warehouse, what are the different OLAP systems and the OLTP systems, right? So the next part is about how to build the data warehouse. So we understand about how to build the data warehouse. Before that, I would like to hear from you, like if you have any questions. So we'll answer that questions and then move on with the how to build a data warehousing architecture. Right? Any questions, Rona, Viven?
No, we don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Then, so I'll give me just 2 minutes break. I'll just have water and then we'll start with the next slide. Right?
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I'm back. Is everyone ready to continue the class? Yes.
Okay, then.
Yes. Karthik here, like, is everyone ready to continue the class? We can continue now?
I'm expected to begin. Let you know what you
One second, Karthik.
Yeah, wrote. Yes?
just let's just take everyone about 5 minutes.
5 minutes you need a break?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And now the time is. Yeah, Jagan, go ahead.
Not 5 minutes. You just take 15 minutes break. Okay. We'll start after 15 minutes exactly. Okay. Is that fine? Rona? Hello? Rona, can you hear me? Rona, are you there?
I don't hear you.
Jagan, what time you were supposed to head for one more break again for a breakfast?
Yeah, it's our time is 9. Okay, we'll continue after 5 minutes. Not a problem, please. Okay. Your voice is not audible. Rona? Can you please ping me there? You can ping me there.
Okay, that's fine, Rona. Thanks. So, Jagan, I guess we can, she's saying that we can continue now. Shall we move on and then head for a break at 9:30?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So far we understood about the advantages of the data warehouse, why we are actually building a separate system called as a data warehouse. So when you understand about the advantages and all those things, so the next thing is to understand how to build the data warehouse. How to build the data warehouse. That is the question. So how are we going to build the data warehouse? So to build the data warehouse, so first you need to understand who is going to sponsor you, what are the risks involved in building the data warehouse. So suppose if you're spending $100 million, what is the return of investment? How much I'm going to get the return of investment, indeed how much I'm going to get it. So first you need to identify all these business drivers, in the sense like whether you're going to build the data warehouse for a sales, or whether you're going to build the data warehouse for a marketing, all those things. And moreover, when you have decided to build the data warehouse, first you need to understand the functional requirements of your business, what kind of analysis they want to carry out. So that needs to be documented. You need to do a survey of the information needs and the functionality and the functional requirements for a initial subject area. In the sense, so we do not start the data warehouse by building the data for marketing, all those things, but first we'll decide for initial level subject area That subject area can be your sales or marketing or simple subject area. By understanding the terms, then you're going to decide the architecture of the data warehouse. So how you're going to design the architecture, what is the architecture is going to be. So the next thing is that you have to evaluate what kind of technology you're going to use to build the data warehouse. So the first thing is which database you're going to use to choose the data warehouse. So when I'm doing it, I can choose Teradata or Oracle, SQL Server, DB2, anything as my data warehouse. So the first thing is to find out what is the which database server you're going to use for a data warehouse. So it can be Oracle or Teradata, and so many other things which you will be using. So the next thing is about this is the data warehouse which we are going to use, and ETL tools. So you have so many ETL tools which we just discussed. You need to decide which tool can be useful for us to build the data warehouse. So the first is your Informatica Power Center. So let's say or data stage or Ab initio, or you have Ab initio, any one.
Karthik, are you there?
which you are going to use, and which database you are going to use, and all these things. So if you think about building the data warehouse, first you need to decide the data warehouse or the database which we are going to use it. And now let's say you're choosing the Oracle database, and along with this you have to use one ETL tool, which will be the IPC, which is nothing but the Informatica Power Center. And let's say you're using the OBIE as a reporting tool. So your architect is going to evaluate the technology based upon the availability of your requirements, and also based upon the budget. He's going to evaluate the technology, and they're also going to decide the architecture of your data warehouse. So in a short while we are going to understand which architecture what kind of architecture we are going to follow, all those things. So we have OBIE and we have Cognos, okay, right? So after evaluating the technology, then you are going to perform a POC, which is nothing but the proof of concept. So which will be is a small program which you are going to design to extract the data, whether we'll be able to complete the data process. So a small kind of program will be developed, which is nothing but the prototype, which we are going to use it to do the data integration. So once you do the data integration, then you need to decide the structure of the table structures in the data warehouse. So how we are going to decide the table structures in the data warehouse So the process of designing the table structures in the data warehouse is nothing but your dimensional modeling technique, which we are going to see that as a second chapter, which we are going to see. So the dimension modeling technique will be chosen to build the data table structure. So that we'll see it. So once you design the table structures through the dimensional data modeling or the dimensional modeling, then you are going to design the ETL programs. So your ETL programs are nothing but your mappings, and you're going to aggregate the data. You're going to follow so many rules. So all these rules will become very clear what kind of data transformation techniques we are going to perform. During the Informatica programs, and then we are going to build the data warehouse or a data mart. So what is a data mart? That we'll see in the next couple of slides. So you're going to extract the data, build the ETL programs, and then load the data. So what is building of the data warehouse? First you need to decide which subject area, which technology, and design the structure of the tables in the data warehouse, then load the data into the data warehouse. So that is how you can maintain and even administer the data warehouse. Maintenance and administration of the data warehouse is a continuous process. So these are the steps that you have to follow while building the data warehouse. So the next thing is we need to understand the few terms. In order to understand the data warehousing architecture. These kind of terms you'll come across in the real time. So when we go, you'll come across the real time, like what is a data mart, what is a data dictionary, all those things. So let's understand the new terms which I'm going to introduce you now, how to use it. Let's say you have something called as a data dictionary. So what is data dictionary? A data dictionary is nothing but the metadata. So data dictionary is nothing but the metadata, ETL programs metadata, which will be used to migrate the data. So when somebody talks about the data dictionary is nothing but the collection of data which will be created by your query tools or your integration tools or the modeling tools. This process is called as a data dictionary. I'm going to show you the tables. So when we talk about the Informatica, I'm going to show you what kind of tables it will use to store the ETL programs, and what kind of tables it will be used while you're working with Informatica Power Center, right? So you're going to use all those things. I'm going to show you what is data dictionary tables are nothing but the metadata tables. So I'll come back to the term what is data mart. A data mart is nothing but the a data mart is nothing but the subset of the data warehouse. So the data warehouse is nothing but the which will contains the data for all the subject areas. When we talk about sales subject area, marketing subject area, all those things. But when we talk about the data mart will consist of only the data for sales subject area or the data for marketing subject area. Or so the data mart is a subset, is the part of the data warehouse which it will contain for only for one subject area, whether it can be for a sales subject area or for marketing subject area or for financial subject area. So when you have a data warehouse, again, why we are building a data mart? So that part I'll clear it to you when we go to the data warehousing architecture. Why we are building a separate, again, for an individual subject area, why we are building a separate database, separate such as called as a data mart. So that why we are building it, that we will see. That is called as a data mart. So the next is called as a data mining. Data mining. So the data mining is the process of finding the patterns. So when we talk about the data mining is nothing but, suppose let's say whenever we are providing our address, let's say we are working in the TCS company, some people will write t.c.s and some guys will write TCS as a single word, and some will give the explanation as a, clear full form as called as a Tata Consultancy Services. Tata Consultancy Services. So when we talk about this, so the all means the same. TCS, T.C.S, Tata Consultancy Services, everything is same. But you have a different formats of the data which you are receiving from the different sources, right? So the process of identifying all these patterns and then storing with a unique name in the data warehouse is called as a data mining process. When you have a different forms of the data, converting all the forms of the data into a single form in the data warehouse, that process is called as a data mining. Which is an advanced level. Data mining is an advanced level concept. You have separate tools which will do the data mining for you, something like SAS, Miner, IBM Intelligent Miner, all those tools. You can use it for a data mining. And the next thing is the data model. So the data model is nothing but the table structures and the relationship. Let's say you have an employee table and the department table, and there is a relationship between the table. So you're going to design first the data model. So the data model is nothing but the list of tables which have the relationship between each of them is your data model. So the data model is used to store the data, in the sense like by understanding your requirements, you'll represent the table structures by using the data modeling techniques, which includes the source tables and the columns and tables, columns, keys, and the relationship between the tables. So that is the data model. So this process is called as a data model. So the next term is about the data cleansing. So the data cleansing is a simple process which we are going to perform before loading the data into the data warehouse. So the data cleansing is nothing but the process of removing the data, or the process of removing the erroneous data, the process of removing the errors, the process of removing the duplicates, the process of removing the inconsistent data. This process is called as a cleaning process. So this is nothing but the data cleaning. So in technical terms, we call it as a data cleansing. So all these techniques you're going to implement in the Informatica to do the removing of errors, to removing of redundancies or nothing but your duplicates, and removing of the inconsistent data. Inconsistent data will be specified in the data cleansing process. And the other thing is called as a normalization. So the normalization is nothing but the process of distributing the data, or the process of eliminating. So the goal of normalization is to eliminate the duplicates, and by creating a separate tables, we are going to remove the redundant information. From the normalization technique. techniques, normalization techniques. So we also understand about the other term called as a ODS. So I'll come back to that. What is the ODS? ODS is nothing but the operational data store. Operational data store. So which we are going to discuss it in the data warehousing architecture. Another term is called as a data transformation. So the data transformation is, the name indicates that the process of modifying the data, process of changing the data from one form to the other form, process of changing the data from one form to the other form, and then before loading the data into the data mart. So these data transformation techniques, data cleansing techniques can be performed using your Informatica Power Center. So the modifications include translation of data from one common format into one common format, or aggregation of the data, or summarizing of data. All these things will be included in the data transformation techniques. Your data transformation techniques includes modifying the data. That means converting the normalized data into denormalized data, normalized to denormalized, and the next thing is the aggregation of data, aggregation or the summarization of data, or calculating the total profits, all those things. So which will be done in the data transformation process. So this is about the different terms which we use in the data warehouse. So the next thing is about the architecture of the data warehouse. So how we are going to build the data warehouse. This is the complete architecture about the data warehouse. You have a different OLTP applications. Those are nothing but the feed system application, FS1, FS2, FSN, and then you will transform that data. You'll extract the data from different application. Let's say your one application where you have Oracle, another application mainframes, other application SAP. So from different application, by using the ETL tools, you will read the data from different application and then store into a temporary area, called as a staging area. So staging area is a temporary area where, so staging area is nothing but the area where you have a group of tables which store the data temporarily. So why do we need a staging area? So staging area will help you to integrate the data from different application, and it will be the easier process to eliminate the duplicates. So that's why we are going into a separate phase. In the data warehouse, before loading the data into the data warehouse, we have the separate physical storage called as a staging area. So the staging area is nothing but a schema within the database, or a group of tables within the database. Right? So once you load the data into the staging area, you are going to clean the data, that is by applying the data cleansing techniques, by applying the data transformation techniques. From the staging area, you are going to load the data into the ODS. ODS is nothing but the operational data store. So what is difference between the staging area and the ODS area? So the staging area is a daily truncate and load. So whenever you are extracting the data from OLTP system, daily you will truncate the staging area and then load into the ODS area. So here, once you load the data, incremental data. So what is incremental data? I'll come back to that. So once you load the data into the staging area, again you load into the separate area, which is nothing but the different database or a same database. That process is called as a ODS. ODS stands for a operational data store. So what is difference between the staging area and the ODS area is that, so your ODS area will represent the OLTP data, and which will have the data for 90 days or 60 to 90 days will have the data. After loading the data into ODS, you're going to aggregate or you're going to summarize. Aggregation and summarization is nothing but calculating the profits at year level, month level, all those things, and then load the data into the data warehouse. So now your data warehouse will contain the data, aggregated data. Aggregated data will be stored in the data warehouse. So from the data warehouse, again you are going to build a separate process called as a data mart, in the data warehouse, you'll have the data for all the subject areas, whereas a data marts will hold the data only for a specific subject area, that is your sales or marketing or your sales, marketing, or your financial subject area. So what is the point of building again the data mart when you have the data already available in the data warehouse? So suppose, let's say, in the data warehouse you have the data which is stored at the year level. In the sense, you have the profits which are stored at the year level, whereas the data mart will have the different view for the data. I mean, it has a different view. So here you might have the data further denormalized structure, in the sense you might have the data data which is stored at the quarterly level or the monthly level or the weekly level. So the data present in the data warehouse and the data mart will be different. So if it is at the year level, it is going to be at the month level or the quarter level or even at the week level. So the data in the data mart and the data warehouse is at the different level. That's why. So, and also the data mart will be prepared only for a one subject area, if not two subject areas, not for all the subject areas. We are not going to combine all the subject areas data in the data mart. We are going to build it only for a sales. If you are building for a sales, it is called as a sales data mart. If you are building for marketing, it is called as a marketing data mart as such. So once you load the data, the analysis will be carried out using your BI tools. So it will query your data warehouse, at the same time it will query your data mart for a reports generation. So by generating the reports, you'll discover your knowledge by doing it. If you see, the architecture also represents that you're analyzing the data from ODS is nothing but the operational data store, which is nothing but operational data store. Sometimes your business would like to generate the reports using the operational data store in order to find out the day-to-day profits, all those things. So to identify the day-to-day profits, how it is doing, so it's nothing but the operational reporting, which to understand the current trends, how the data is growing, how the data is increasing, or how the profits are increasing on a day-to-day basis. That's why very rarely you'll come across reporting against the ODS. Generally the reporting will be done on the data warehouse and the data mart. So if your business is interested in identifying the current trends, how the data is growing, all those things will be identified using the operational data store. So you have one thing on the top of that is called as a metadata layer. So this metadata layer is nothing but the place, the programs which you are going to build to extract the data from one place to the other place. So you're going to build the ETL programs at this layer, and you're going to build the ETL programs at this layer, and you're going to build the ETL programs at this layer. This is the physical. So the staging area and the ODS area is not the process in your Informatica. It is the physical data storage which will be available in your data warehousing architecture, which is nothing but the group of tables. First, you'll have a group of tables available here. You'll load the data from these tables to staging table, and from staging tables to ODS tables, and from ODS tables you're going to load the data into the data warehouse. So when you are building the data warehouse, it is not necessary that you have to follow the exact same architecture by keeping the staging area and the ODS area. Any one of the phase you can choose. Either you can choose the staging area or you can choose the ODS area. So it is not mandatory that your warehouse should contain the ODS, your warehouse should contain the staging area. Any one of the thing you can choose it as a intermediate layer to transform the data, right? So this is about the architecture of your data warehouse. So you're going to extract the data, load the data into staging area, apply the cleansing techniques, load into the ODS, from ODS aggregate the data, load into the DW. And if you see here, you're also loading the data from data mart from the ODS area, which is your operational data store. Operational data store will contain the data for 60 to 90 days. Whenever you have a older data which is older than 60 days or the 90 days, that will be deleted by your programs. So you can build the programs in such a way, whenever the data is present in the ODS which is older than 90 days, it will be deleted from your ETL programs. So that way you can choose it. That's That way you can build the data warehouse, right? So this is about the architecture part about your data warehouse. So so today, I mean, now the time is 9:30. If you have to go for a break, we can go and then come back. Or if you want me to continue and complete the 4 more slides are there about the architecture, I can complete it and then we can meet at that time. So it's up to you, like when we can meet again. Rona? Or somebody can just tell us like whether to continue now or we can meet again. Okay, so we have the process here, like how we are going to extract the data, how we are going to cleanse the data, how we are going to load the data, and all these things. So this process, so this is the feed system application where you are performing the transactions. Here your customer or your bank representative will perform the transaction and the data will be entered into this feed system application. So I mean, this is the new term that we are using for a OLTP system. This feed system application is nothing but your OLTP system, and you're going to capture the data, and you're going to capture the data by using your Informatica. You'll capture the incremental data, and then store into a separate temporary area called as a staging area. So how to capture the incremental data, using the, and what is incremental data, how to capture incremental data. So how to capture the incremental data from the OLTP systems, I'm going to show you when we are building the ETL programs, how to capture the incremental data using the Informatica futures. So but now let's understand what is incremental data. So let's say you have a customer table, and you have the data called as customer ID, and you have something called as a customer name, and you have something called as a location. And every table will have the columns called as a created date and the last updated date. So these columns will tell you when the record is created in the table or the database and when the record is updated. So if you go and see, all your OLTP tables will have the columns called as, these columns we call it as audit columns, in the sense where you will have when the record is created, when the record is updated. Let's say you have a record, something called as 100. So the customer name is, so I'm using the Indian cricketer names here. Like so you have the location is India, and let's say you have created
Rona, are you there? Hello? Yeah, Rona will finish it. We'll finish it after.
Hello. Hello. Yes. I think I can.
Yeah, Rona will start after lunch. Okay, after break. Please let's go for break.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you. Please join back. Please join back at
Okay, sure.
after 1 hour.